Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Player Zone YouTube channel and welcome to Player Zone Footmas Day 3. And with Manchester United and Arsenal being the big clash in the Premier League from the midweek ties, I thought, what an occasion to put together an all-time Manchester United and Arsenal combined 11. It's a big game coming up at the Emirates midweek. Obviously, Arsenal trying to push their way up and claw back some of that gap to Liverpool in the Premier League. And then you got Manchester United, who are for the first time in a long time in the top half of the Premier League and looking to extend this unbeaten run under Ruben Amorim to 8 games now after a solid start in both the Europa League and the Premier League on last week. Looking at this all-time 11, I tell you what, there's a lot of big names that some had to miss, and we've got a lot of modern-day names, especially from Arsenal, that you could definitely chuck in this all-time side, but it's heavily dominated by those early 2000s players. I went with a 4-4-2 formation, a classic old-school football, proper English formation for this one here. And as I said, there's a lot of very, very important players that are in this side here. A lot of players that you could put in an all-time Premier League 11, let alone an all-time Arsenal and Manchester United combined 11. Let's get straight into it. We'll go with the goalkeeper. And for me, it just had to be Peter Schmeichel, someone who, for me, again, oozes an all-time Premier League 11 type player. He's just been dominant for so many years for Manchester United, and then I guess for Man City after that as well. 395 appearances for United, 180 clean sheets at that time, including a Champions League title, obviously the 99 one there, 5 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cup wins, and a League Cup victory as well. Just as, again, someone who I think through the 90s just was so dominant in goal, part of that United team that just continued to dominate that era for such a long period of time. Probably United's strongest side of the Sir Alex Ferguson in that period there. No nonsense players, got the job done. And you saw with some Schmeichel, he probably was one of the first goalkeepers to make goalkeeping, I guess, fashionable and make it likeable with some of the saves he used to make, how consistent he was in goal. And when you look at that, you've got just about half of his appearances for Manchester United resulting in clean sheets, just showing how dominant he was in the sticks, and probably, as I said, the first real keeper that everyone thinks of when they think of the top keepers in the world. It's got to be Peter Schmeichel, and to this day, everyone rates him so highly, and that means he has to go in this team for me. So he's in goal. Going to left back, we get an Arsenal player in here, Ashley Cole. I don't know if Arsenal fans will want to take him on board. I know there's a bit of an interesting relationship there once he left for Chelsea, but he made his name at Arsenal. 228 appearances there, 9 goals, 21 assists in those time at Arsenal, 55 clean sheets, won the 2 Premier Leagues there, the 3 FA Cups. For me, the best left back I can think of. Again, I didn't get to see him at his peak of his powers once I started watching football, but you watch back all the highlights, you see all the infographics, and you see the way the modern left back sort of progressed to what I guess Cole started with, a really dynamic up and down type fullback, really strong into a challenge, but gets the ball going the other way, really quick, really athletic. I think he changed the mould for what fullbacks had to be going forward. It was sort of him, then Kyle Walker, and now we're stuck with these fullbacks that are just super athletic. You have to be super fit. You got to have the passing around your game and the ability to go forward to be a successful fullback in modern football. I think it was just started initially by Ashley Cole and how good he was. As I said, another player that would probably slip into an all-time Premier League 11 with how good he is. So he absolutely gets in this side for me, and he's the first Arsenal representative in this team. Going to centre-half, got to start with Rio Ferdinand at the back. 455 appearances for Manchester United, 8 goals and 8 assists during his time at the club. 145 clean sheets in the Premier League for Manchester United. Won, obviously, that Champions League title. But again, probably their best team for a season that United had there in the early 2000s there. 6 Premier League titles, 3 League Cups. Didn't win an FA Cup, surprisingly, in his time at the club, but again, in that era, the second, I guess, era of United dominance after that initial late 90s side that won the Champions League against Bayern Munich. You sort of had the next crop, which was sort of those late to early 2000s there, talking about 2006, 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. That side was just incredible, and Rio Ferdinand was a pivotal part to that, such a leader at the football club there for such a long period of time. And at the peak of his powers, at United and prior to that at West Ham and Leeds, he was someone that just oozed coolness, calmness on the ball. Again, you can sort of mirror him to the modern day fullbacks, the likes of William Saliba, Virgil van Dijk as well. Even like a Bastoni at Inter Milan, someone who's comfortable in the ball, can be physical in the air, a multifaceted centre-back. You don't get many of them in world football, but nowadays a lot are like that. A lot mirror what Rio Ferdinand was. They're balancing the brute strength, but also the composure on the ball as well. And he was absolutely class in his time there. One of the accolades, got it all done. So Rio Ferdinand definitely gets in this side for me. And I pair him up with my favourite centre-back of all time. Again, didn't get to watch him for long periods of time, but Nemanja Vidic is in this side as well. 300 appearances for Manchester United, 21 goals and 4 assists, 95 clean sheets in the Premier League, the 1 Champions League title, 5 Premier League titles, 3 League Cups as well. So a similar run to what Rio Ferdinand put together. Those two, at United's peak, those two were elite at the back. And it never came easy for Nemanja Vidic initially when he came across the Premier League, and there's been a lot of, I guess, stories that his compatriots like Rio Ferdinand and other defenders have mentioned. Also, Sir Alex Ferguson had mentioned that when he came to the Premier League, he really struggled, didn't quite get to grips with the league. But once he did, the physicality, the leadership at the back, wearing the captain's armband, stamping his authority on games with his just brute strength. And no nonsense defending. It was just a pleasure to watch. Again, I didn't see him at his peak of his powers, but still towards the end of his time at Old Trafford, still a fantastic defender. You see some of the montage of some of the tackles he put in, literally put fear into opposition forwards. And the ability to go the other end and head the ball in the back of the net going forward as well is another part of his game, which is just superb as well. So Nemanja Vidic for me, a personal favourite of mine, probably my favourite centre-back of all time. So he goes in this team for me in his combined 11. At right back, tough one, but I had to go Gary Neville in the end. Just the brute experience, just the sheer experience of the man. 598 appearances, 7 goals, 49 assists, 148 clean sheets in the Premier League for Manchester United. Obviously, it's the 2 Champions League titles in there, the 8 Premier Leagues, 4 FA Cups, 3 League Cups. He literally won it all. Still the most decorated, one of the most decorated Premier League players in history. It's getting tight between Kyle Walker and him now, who you'd have in an all-time Premier League 11. But the sustainability, longevity, again, there's no nonsense about him as well. Wasn't all flashy and all that, and he wasn't a key figure or a poster boy for this United side over that long period of time. But his role is so underrated. I think all the teammates have come out and talked about how important Gary Neville was down that flank. David Beckham even talked about that link up that he had with with Neville on that right-hand side there. He did the unspoken things and did them well. And I think when you look at Gary Neville, you don't really look at the numbers. You look at what he's won and what he was contributing to winning. And I think that shows for itself. So, again, another player that probably goes in an all-time Premier League 11. He has to go on this team for me. So he slots in at right back in a back four. So far, I've got Peter Schmeichel in goal, Ashley Cole left back, Rio Ferdinand and Nemanja Vidic at the heart of the defence, Gary Neville at right back. And we continue the United trend at left mid. Ryan Giggs, one of the most incredible numbers you'll hear in a long time. 958 games played for Manchester United, including 274 goals and 402 assists for Manchester United. 13 Premier League titles, 2 Champions Leagues, 4 FA Cups, 4 League Cups. He saw it all, he won it all, he conquered all. One of the longest standing careers of all time. Ridiculous footballer that just continued just do the small things and do them well. Again, the stats and the numbers, they don't look ridiculous against some of, I guess, the more modern day players, some of the players of the past. But again, the role he did, the way he was so important through different eras of this Manchester United side, thinking late into the 90s, the early 2000s, later on into the 2010s, just was pivotal in so many different eras that Sir Alex Ferguson had at the football club, and playing for such a long time in which he did, and continue to perform at such a high level as well. So much respect for Ryan Giggs, a Premier League great, a Manchester United great, and as such in this side here. He really is the definition of a left midfielder, or you can put him on the right, but he was a proper wide player that hugged the touchline and worked up and back defensively, attacking-wise, and whipped those balls into the box. And you don't see many of those sort of wingers or wide midfielders anymore. Not many teams play 4-4-2 anymore. It's more wingers and inverted sort of forwards or wide forwards. There's not many Ryan Giggs of the world anymore. So you've got to appreciate what he had to offer, the balance in his game defensively and offensively, and some of those deliveries and assists like Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, was just remarkable and such a great contributor for Manchester United, and as such is well and surely in this team at left mid for me. One of the midfielders, we go back to the Arsenal selection here and going Patrick Vieira, a leader, a true champion on the field and did it in multiple different leagues. But for Arsenal, was fantastic. 405 appearances, 32 goals, 49 assists in his time at Arsenal. 104 clean sheets in the Premier League for the Gunners as well, winning the 3 Premier League titles, the 4 Emirates FA Cups as well. At that time where it was very tense between United and Arsenal, he was a leader of the opposition, and the counter charge to what Sir Alex Ferguson implemented, and was pivotal to what Arsene Wenger did in trying to change, I guess, the balance of things in the Premier League and get Arsenal back on top. And as a captain, as a controlling force, as a true all-rounded footballer, he did the lot defensively, really, really robust. A workhorse in there, but also very capable on the ball, creating things going the other way, goals, assists, dribbling out of spaces. A player that can fit in any single era in the 2000s, nowadays in the 2020s. I can even see him working in the 90s as well with his work rate he had with and without the ball as well. He was a complete footballer. There's not many like Vieira, and I think there ever will be players like Vieira. Just the ability to keep at it. Again, I'm going to say a word a lot this in this episode here, but no nonsense. He just got the job done. He worked hard for his team and made his team better with the work he did with and without the football. So he goes in central midfield and paired up with his arch nemesis in many regards, Roy Keane. 478 appearances for Manchester United, 51 goals, 39 assists, 111 clean sheets for Manchester United, including the 7 Premier League titles, the 1 Champions League, and the 4 FA Cups. Again, someone a part of that 90s team that was so important, a big name in the dressing room, someone that just commanded respect and dominated respect not only on the pitch but in the dressing room as well. A leader, a fierce opposition player, and someone that did not care what anyone thought of him. He would go out and do the job for his side, and I guess was the real embodiment of Sir Alex Ferguson on the pitch, getting the job done, not willing to back down and sacrifice anything. They wanted to get the win, and that's what Roy Keane was about. Win, win, win. No matter how you do it, you're going to find a way to do it, and that's what Roy Keane was all about. And as I said, he was really the embodiment of what Sir Alex Ferguson was about on the pitch. So he goes in this team for me. Again, probably the captain for me. I love the way he carried himself, whether it be something that the new generation enjoy or not. I like the way he goes about it. He cuts the crap in many regards, says it how it is, and that's what you need in some sides. I think that was the key for that Manchester United side in the late mid-90s and into the early 2000s, that no-nonsense, win-at-all-cost mentality, which did the side so well. And on the right, this is going to be one of the shock ones. I just feel like I have such a connection to what this guy does. I think he'll definitely land in this team in the future. I've gone Bukayo Saka. It could be early, but he is fantastic. 244 appearances for Arsenal, 65 goals, 61 assists. Obviously, he's got the 1 FA Cup title to his name as well. And yes, Arsenal in this current generation haven't won a lot, but they've been bloody competitive. And especially when you look at this season, the impact when Bukayo Saka's there versus when he's not there is so massive for Arsenal. And again, I said it with Ryan Giggs, you don't see many of those wide players anymore, but Bukayo Saka is still that sort of old 2000s type wide player. He hugs the line, tricky, cuts inside, can find the far corner, silky smooth when he dribbles past defenders. Again, a real workhorse as well. Someone that started his career as a left wing back, then right wing back, then to right mid, now as a right winger. He's done his yards all over the park and debuted as quite a young player. We forget about this. He was introduced and bled so young, and the fact that he's gone and developed his game from there and not fallen victim to the pressure that a big club like Arsenal can put on a young player is just another feather in his cap here. He's such an all-rounded player. As I said again, probably in the wrong generation sometimes it feels like. He feels like he should fit more in those sort of 2000s eras type players because he's such a direct wide player where he'll keep wide, he'll keep fat, he'll work in the half space with a midfielder pushing in there, and they can produce magical moments coming and cutting in from that right-hand side there. I think right now it might sound a little bit ridiculous, but you look back on this in 5 years' time, I think Bukayo Saka absolutely deserves to be in this combined 11. So he's going in there alongside some absolutely phenomenal names. Moving to the 2 strikers, these two sort of picked themselves, starting with Thierry Henry up top. Mr. Premier League for many people, 377 appearances, 228 goals, 93 assists, the 2 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cups, 2-time Golden Boot winner as well. Just someone who oozed confidence, calmness on the ball, brought swagger to football in many regards, the way he went about it. And that move to Barcelona never quite worked out, but everyone knows Thierry Henry from what he did in the Premier League, a part of that invincible side. Arsene Wenger's right-hand man in many regards, someone he loved, and someone that I guess all Premier League fans adored and will look back to with fond memories of all the magical moments he put together. Just a true finish in the final third. Again, someone who was probably ahead of his time. He could play across all the front regions as well, out left, out right, down the middle, had multiple avenues to his game. The way he worked with likes of Dennis Bergkamp in there as well, fantastic. Could still thrive with other superstars around him, and that's another positive you can give for Thierry Henry. But one of the all-time great footballers, probably in everyone's all-time Premier League combined 11, so he absolutely starts in this combined United and Arsenal side up top, alongside another Mr. All-Premier League man in Wayne Rooney. 559 appearances, 253 goals, 139 assists, a Champions League, 5 Premier Leagues in there, 1 FA Cup, 4 League Cups, and a Europa League. He has the lot in his Arsenal, Wayne Rooney. Someone who, when I started watching football, I adored. I absolutely loved. This is one of my favourite players when I started first watching the game. And again, saw him towards the end of his career when I got to watch more games. But he still had that smarts about him. He was a real raw pace and power talent at the start of his career. Had a bit of a screw loose or so that would ruffle some feathers. But we absolutely loved that. We loved that in football. Some fight, some aggression. Showing some emotion on the pitch. So I absolutely loved that. And then as he got older in his career, dropping to the number 10, sometimes the number 8, the vision, the smarts, the composure to play the right pass, to play through pressure, it's just fantastic. And he has some fantastic goals in his Arsenal. Great volleys from well and truly outside the box, producing that famous bicycle kick versus Manchester City. There's only so many moments you could think about with Wayne Rooney in the Premier League. He is Mr. Manchester United for a lot of people. You think of Sir Bobby Charlton, George Best, Eric Cantona. And then you think of Wayne Rooney as well, some of the great names, and he sits alongside those. So he absolutely gets into this combined 11 for me as the striker alongside Mr. Thierry Henry as well. And that wraps up an incredible combined 11, which is 2 great sides. You've got Peter Schmeichel in goal, Ashley Cole left back, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic at the heart of the centre-backs, Gary Neville at right back, Ryan Giggs at left mid, Patrick Vieira and Roy Keane in the centre of the park, with Bukayo Saka on the right-hand side, and Thierry Henry and Wayne Rooney lead the line in what is an absolutely ridiculous combined 11, and a team that could beat any team on any day, I think. So much talent and so many winners in this side here. All the trophies, all the achievements I've named, it just shows how deep these two clubs have been and how much of a dominant and key figures they've been in the Premier League. You think of Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger. Now we've got the 2 new managers, Mikel Arteta, Ruben Amorim as well. Will there be a new rivalry built here between the Portuguese and the Spanish manager? We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, the big game coming up just over a day from now. Really, really excited for it. I think Arsenal do win. If you've seen my prediction video, I've gone with a 4-1 Arsenal win. But the way Ruben Amorim has set up Manchester United and the confidence and the form that some of the big players have found, it could be a really competitive game. We've seen some great games the last few years, especially at the Emirates. Arsenal's 3-1 win early last season, the 3-2 classic win 2 seasons ago. There's been some really, really good competitive games in the two sides, and hopefully this game is the same with that as well. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash a like on it, subscribe to the Players Zone channel, and press that post notification bell so you know we upload here. This is obviously day 3 of our Players Zone Footmas calendar. Obviously, day 4, 5, 6 are all coming up. A video, podcast, reaction video every day until Christmas. So keep tuned in here on the channel for more football content in the great month of December. It is properly the football month of December. Games every 2 or 3 days. So a lot to talk about here on the channel. With that being said, guys, I hope you have a great day. Enjoy the massive clash, Arsenal, Manchester United. And I'll see you guys in the video very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.